Hi mamas, I hear you're expecting a little one and congrats. I want to do a video to help you to discuss a topic that isn't usually discussed about much when you're expecting a baby boy. Okay, so the topic I want to discuss to you mostly about is circumcision. And I know it's not widely talked about, and a lot of times when you have a boy, you're automatically assume that that's what you're supposed to do. So I want to encourage you guys to research these things more, and I also want to give you some information that I wish I had at the time, which I am glad I found on my own before I chose what I chose. So for starters, when I was expecting my little boy, I was gung-ho, I'm gonna circumcise. I didn't really know what was all in it, and I just thought, okay, this is what you had to do, it's better, it's this, it's that. And we have all heard, it's cleaner, it's better, I've heard this like the biggest line I think a lot, and it actually started with one person, and everybody makes it like it's their story when it was one person that said this. But there's this line, it goes, well, I know an old man and that wasn't, and he regretted it, or he hated his mom because she didn't do it, or he got infections and this and that. Which I want to tell you guys that be careful what you listen to, because not all of it's true, and a lot of people do make up stories to get what they want you to do instead of what you should do. So on this video, I want to give you some insight more on it, because I wish I had more insight, and I'm glad that I did look it up myself and find the insight that no one told me that I should have been told. So circumcision, the definition of circumcision, okay, is the removal of the foreskin. Now, something that you should know is the foreskin is actually called the prepuce, and women have them as well. It's actually called the clitoral hood on a woman. The foreskin on a male is this. It's the same but not equivalent, because they're both a prepuce, but one has 20,000 nerve endings with 16 plus functions. And the other one, like on a woman, doesn't have that many functions. It's there to, protect, just like it's the same for a boy and a girl. Like the prepuce on a woman is there to protect her clitoris from abrasions, infections, it keeps it clean and stuff like that. Just like male. The male prepuce is there for a purpose to protect the penis glands, because the penis glands are not supposed to be calloused. When babies are born, they're actually born with the glands, they're really smooth and soft, and they actually should stay like that. That's how God designed it to be. So like the foreskin is there, it's designed to be there, and it's designed to protect it. Now, I know we all grow up with this stigma about, oh, foreskin's dirty, oh, it's gross, oh, it's this, oh, it's that. But keep an open mind, because it really is not. The foreskin, actually, it's not dirty, it's not gross, it's a natural part of the body. Like, some people say that about women's, lips. People will say on the vagina lips, people will say, oh, they're gross, they're dirty, they carry bacteria, they produce stigma. And it's all how you look at it. Like, women can be just as dirty, men can be just as dirty. Anyone can be just as dirty if you don't shower. And the big thing is, showering is a big part of the hygiene. You gotta shower regardless, and you gotta clean all your parts regardless, whether you're male or female. So, for example, like, people do say that about women too, but the thing is, the foreskin on a male, now there's this other thing that we're all used to hearing is stigma, and people blow it out to be this horrible, disgusting cheese stuff, but actually, women produce it just as much as men. And under the foreskin, there's stigma produced, but it's not disgusting. It's not a disease. It's not an STD. It's a natural lubricant that is there in male and female. Now, does that mean you don't wash? No, of course not. You have to wash it. Just like if a guy is uncircumcised, they have to pull it back and wash, and they clean that. And I know we've all also heard the study where it says it lowers HIV, penile cancer, this and that. Well, penile cancer is literally 1% chance in 1,000 males. So if it is only a 1% chance in 1,000 males, we don't just cut every single boy for that 1%. That would be like, breast cancer is more common than penile cancer. But do we go around taking baby girls' breast nodes out or cut? No, we don't, because that's just wrong. Like, we don't do that. So we shouldn't be doing it to males either. And the HIV, that study that they keep quoting on the HIV, it's actually been debunked. It does not protect you against HIV. Nothing protects you against HIV if you cut anything off, or just like a woman, if you cut her prepuce off or a male's prepuce off, it's not going to protect you from HIV. The only thing that protects you from that is safe sex and condoms. That's it. No amputation is going to protect you from that. But I want to get down, Mama. I know you want to do the best for your baby. Same with me. I want to do the best for my baby, and I'm glad I did. Because the best for your baby, honestly, is to leave him whole how God created him. Because God did create our bodies, and if you're not religious, like you don't believe in that, just ignore the whole God thing. But our bodies were created with the parts that we needed. So if I have a prepuce, a male has a prepuce, the gender shouldn't make it different. Because if you cut a girl, it's genital mutilation. If you cut a boy, it's the same. It's genital mutilation. You're cutting a boy's genitals, just like you'd be cutting a girl's genitals. They're the same thing. Now, we have been conditioned or brainwashed to think they're different things, but they're really not. When you look at the baseline of it, it's not. The definition of genital mutilation is cutting any part of the genitals, male or female, without the other person's consent. And that's what you're doing when you cut a boy. That's what you're doing when you cut a girl. There's no difference in the gender. They're still their parts. It's still a girl part. It's still a boy part. They're both equal to that protection, or that right protection as well. And it's sad because this misinformation has been passed down for a lot of generations, and it has hurt a lot of men, and they don't realize it. Because the trauma, a lot of times when a baby boy goes through circumcision, they don't sleep through it. They don't not cry. They actually pass out in shock because it is so painful. And it is really extremely painful because the foreskin is fused to the penis like my fingernails. Now, imagine if I shoved they use a circumcision probe. So imagine if I shoved a metal thing under my fingernail and like prying it off. That would hurt, wouldn't it? Like really bad. No, and that's how it feels for a baby boy. And when they're babies, they feel pain more than adults do. And it hurts, and it's unnecessary, and it's really cruel. I just can't think of any other words to describe it. And also, the baby, there's studies to prove this, which I will link everything so you guys can read it down below in the description, so you can actually, look up the studies and all this stuff down in the description. But there is studies. They did a circumcision on a baby in an MRI machine where they could see the brain, and the baby's brain never, a circumcised baby's or male brain never goes back to base level. It permanently damages their brain with their emotions. They're able to connect it damages their brain, so it never goes back to the baseline of what that baby was born or supposed to be. It causes lasting trauma all the way into adulthood. And a lot of times, even in adulthood, that these men don't realize that they still have this trauma from what was done to them. And it should have never been done to them. Because regardless, parent or not, you have a right to your body when it comes to someone harming you. So no baby boy should have that forced upon them, because they do have a right when they're older. They should have that right to choose for themselves if they want to keep their prep use or not. Because it's not anyone's right to take it away from someone else. Just like it wouldn't be my right to take your prep use away. You know, it's the same way. And it shouldn't be viewed as different as it is today, because it's the definition of what is happening to women and men in the U.S., it's the same thing. It's just gender. That's the only difference about it. It's just the gender. And the fake studies that the doctors use to push this so well, because there is a lot of bloody in foreskin stem cells. They use it for everything. They use it for face cream, they use it for makeup, they use it for this, and they make a lot of money off of that. And that's why they push it so hard for you to do that to your baby boy. And don't do it to your baby boy. Just don't. Because he deserves his whole body. He deserves to feel the sexual experience that he is supposed to feel with every part of his body. No, he shouldn't be missing any part of his body. And he shouldn't be missing any part of his genitals either. Because that is his body. That is his right. And that's how it does need to be viewed, because it's hard. I know, Mama, it's hard when you're thinking, okay, but I was grown up to think this. And it's hard, because I was grown up to think that as well. Like, all of my family circumcised. I was the one that stepped out of the box and said, hey, something isn't right about this. And I'm glad I did, because it saved my baby boy from repeating the behavior of that abuse. And it is hard when you've been brainwashed to believe it. It's hard to step out of that box, but you can do it. You can. And yes, you will get headbutts from a lot of people at first. Well, because when they do something, they usually want you to do it so they don't feel guilty. And a lot of times that's what happens, and you butt heads. But you just gotta keep your head up knowing, hey, I did what was best for my baby, and I see the truth of it instead of just following this abuse pattern over generations. Now I do want to go a little bit in depth on the religious side too, just in case there are some Christians watching my channel. And I was a Christian as well when I made this decision, and I wanted to do what was right by God, so I wanted to make sure I was doing that. And I want to tell you guys that modern circumcision is not biblical circumcision. There is a big difference there. Biblical circumcision never amputated 20,000 nerve endings plus 16 functions. Never. God never intended you to do that, especially to your baby boy. The biblical circumcision that was done back in the day was they nicked just a drop of blood for the covenant. That was, if you read in the Bible, you can get more understanding of that, because you see that uncircumcised and circumcised is used to describe fruit. It's used to describe a bunch of other things, and it's never meant to be taken literally like that, because there are Like, and the other thing is, another way they circumcised back then was they literally just cut the very tip off and hung up. They never, Jesus did have his foreskin, guys. He did. It was never amputated. They just cut like the little part hanging over, but that was it. And when you look in more depth of that, like I was saying, it's used to describe other things, and the main point of that was the circumcision of the heart. It never really meant the outer part of the circumcision, and that circumcision is not what is today. Today is mutilation, as there is spoken against it in the Bible as well. It is spoken as mutilation in the Bible. So as Christians, we also gotta be wary of what we believe, especially when doctors are pushing stuff. Like, doctors purposely used the circumcision word to push it to Christians as well, because if they see it in the Bible, they're going to associate it and think, oh yeah, okay, God wanted me to do that. But when you dig deeper, you understand that the modern circumcision is never what God intended, and he never meant that at all. And also, I want to go about how circumcision even started, because not a lot of people know this as well. The same person that invented cornflakes is the one who started circumcision. But he didn't just start male circumcision. He wanted to put acid on women's clitoris. He wanted to do that to women and circumcise the males like they do today. That actually was his invention. That wasn't biblical, wasn't medical. It was just what he wanted to do, because masturbation was so bad, and they believed it was a disease that they wanted to cure. So there's that, and I'm glad what he wanted to do to women didn't stick on. I'm not happy that the mutilation of boys did, but all it takes is just do a little research and be open-minded. Don't believe every single thing that you've been taught, because not everything you've been taught is right. Like, this one is very wrong, and it is taught to so many people, and it was passed down to so many generations. And there are so many corrupt doctors that push this because they get paid for every time they cut your baby boy. They don't care that your baby boy could die, bleed to death, get an infection, sepsis, none of this. And you guys, I'm going to find the paper you signed for circumcision, and I want to show you what exactly you're signing, because in that paper it states your baby can die, which it can, and it's unnecessary. All it is cosmetic, and it shouldn't even be. You should not look at someone else's genital and try to cosmetic them. If baby boys or baby girls, either one shouldn't be touched. And I know we have this conception of uncircumcised babies are so hard to clean. And I'm here to, I have a son. It's not hard at all. When your baby isn't circumcised, it's much easier to clean. All you do is you wipe like a finger. You wipe like this. You only wipe just wipe what is seen. You don't pull back or forcefully retract, because that will cause damage to your baby, because when babies are born, the foreskin is fused to the glands. It can't go back. Nothing can get under there. Nothing can cause anything. Now is the little red on the tip of the foreskin normal? Yes, it doesn't mean there's a cause for concern unless you see pus or something like that, which doesn't usually happen, because boys, that is there to protect the glands and keep it clean. It's not there to trap bacteria or anything. It's there to keep it clean. And also, circumcision affects a baby boy's bond with their mother and bond with future relationships, as well as breastfeeding. A lot of moms that have had their babies circumcised have trouble getting them to latch because they went through the trauma of what was done to them, and it causes them not to trust. So they go into shock from all this trauma, and it lasts. They don't not remember it either. That's a lie. They don't not remember. They do remember. They just remember the trauma, which causes them not really able to nurse because they were just mutilated and traumatized. So Mama, if you're having a boy, please research and keep him whole. I guarantee you that is the best decision you can make for him, and he will thank you so much when he is older. Believe me, he will. There is a lot of men standing up now against this abuse that was done to them because they realized what was taken from them. That should have never been taken from them. Never should have anybody had a chance to take that from them. Parents, non-parents, no one. But please research circumcision, keep your baby whole, and just love him how he is, because he was born perfect, just like girls are. Every baby is born perfect. Just keep them that way. Okay. Good luck, Mama. Bye.